Hello, what's up YouTube photographer ronnixphotography. In this tutorial, you're going to be learning skin retouching using frequency separation from the very start to the very end with no steps skipped. So if at all you want to download the image to follow along, check the links in the description of this video so that you can follow along as we're trying to edit this very image. So after doing that, simply like this video and don't forget to subscribe if at all you're watching and you're not yet subscribed yet to this channel. So what I'll do, I'll just come to the image right here and select it, and I'll simply come to open with and open the image in Photoshop. So since this is a raw file, we just want to first of all correct the lighting and contrast issues regarding this very image. And you can see image looks a little bit overexposed. So what I'll do, I'll simply come to exposure and simply drop down the exposure just a little bit. And I'll come to the highlights and drop the highlights down. And I'll do the same for the whites, just like that. And you can see by just doing that, we have corrected the exposure issues regarding this image. So I'll come and add some tiny bit of contrast to the image, just like that, around 8. Then I'll take the blacks down a little bit and I'll open up the shadows. So by just doing that, you can see I've gotten the image from looking like this to looking like this. So after I've done that, the next thing is going to be, you can see the image is a little bit on the magenta side or on the red side. Just come to your color options right here and simply change the tint. So if at all you have more reds in the image, it means that the opposite of red is going to be green. So by adding or moving the slider towards the green side, we are basically removing the reds from the image. So I think that is okay before, after. So when you feel like the image is a little bit more on the underexposure, simply brighten it up a little bit. So I think that is okay. So I'll come to my color options right here in the color mix, and I'll simply take the luminance of the oranges down. Remember, luminance is the brightness of a given color. So I'll just darken the oranges a little bit to create more contrast within the skin tone. After I've done the basic corrections, I'll simply come to open the image in Photoshop by simply clicking on the open option to open the image into Photoshop for us to do the next adjustments. So in Photoshop, the very first thing we are going to do is cropping the image. So I'll just come to the crop tool right here and simply crop the image in a ratio of 45. So select 45 or 8 by 10 and just look for the right crop and simply hit enter or return to crop the image how we want it. So after cropping the image right now, the next thing is going to be working on the skin and perfecting the skin. So in order to perfect the skin, what we want to do basically, we are going to be using frequency separation to retouch the skin. Remember, frequency separation is a skin retouching technique that is going to divide the image into the colors and the textures. So we're going to divide this image into colors and textures so that when we work on the textures alone and we perfect the textures and also perfect the colors or the skin tones, you're going to end up with a nicely edited image. So just come to the background layer right here and simply press Ctrl J, or you can use Command J on the keyboard. So just press Command J or Ctrl J twice. So double click on that layer and you're going to name this to the color. Some people call it the low frequency layer, and you're going to name this to the textures, and other people call it the high frequency layer. And after we have done that, the next thing is going to be ensuring that we remain with only the colors or the textures as we have renamed them right here. Remember, these layers are containing all the information, but we only want to remain with the colors or the textures in every layer as we have named it. So what we have to do, select the color layer and hide the texture layer. We are going to come right here to filter and come to blur and come to Gaussian blur. So just want to blur away the textures from the image. So I'll take the radius down and click on the skin and look for an area that seems to have more skin texture than the rest of the skin in this case. So at around this area, I feel like we have more textures than the rest of the skin. So what we have to do, we are simply going to left click on the radius slider right here. Left click and start taking up the radius. So we have to take up the radius up to a point whereby we are just starting to close out on the details. So you left click and drag and you release to see the preview in real time. Make sure the preview option is turned on. So you drag and look at the image after releasing. You left click and drag and release and see the effect just like that. So you have to stop at the point where you are just starting to close out on the skin textures or the skin details. So at around 8, that is when I'm just starting to close out on the skin details. So for your image, it may be different. So you don't have to cram this. So after doing that, I'll simply come and click OK. And as soon as I do that, you can see the image is looking a little bit blurry, but we only want to focus more on the colors. So after we have done that, the next thing is going to be coming to the texture layer and activate it. Then remember, in the texture layer, we only want to remain with the textures or the outlines in the image. So we are basically going to come right here to image, apply image, and it's going to open up the apply image dialog box right here. And make sure the layer you select the color layer, because we want to extract the textures from the color layer. That is why we have selected the color. Make sure the channel is set to RGB, and make sure the blend mode, because we are dealing with a 16-bit image, the blending has to be add. The scale is 2, so just type in 2 and offset 0, and make sure you turn on the invert option. And as soon as you do that, you'll see the textures on this gray like kind of layer which is lacking colors, meaning this layer is now containing only textures and is lacking skin tones and colors. But if at all you are using an 8-bit image, simply use the above settings and don't turn on the invert option for an 8-bit image. Change the blend mode to subtract, the scale, type in 2 and offset 128, and you can see you have the same results. So mine is 16-bit. I'll just change it to 16-bit, invert, and click OK. Come the blend mode right here and change it from normal, and I'll simply change it to linear light, and you can see that we get back the image that it was meant to be. So after doing that, I'll select both layers by holding down the control button and drag them into a group. You can rename it to whatever you want, or you can name the group to frequency separation. So after doing that, the next thing is going to be coming and opening the group. So you can see if at all we hide this image and we remain with the group, it means it is basically the same photo. And when we hide one of the layers, you can see one is for textures, and when we hide this, it is only colors. So when you combine both, it is basically the same image. So I'll just come and turn that back on. So after doing that, the next thing is going to be working on the colors or the skin tones of this very image. And what I have to do, I'll simply come and select the color layer and hide the texture layer. So after doing that, I'll just come to the brushes, left click, or you can click and hold down, and it's going to open up the brushes under the brushes. So I'm just going to come and select the mixer brush tool. So if at all the mixer brush tool is not showing under the brushes, you can always locate it below here. So for whichever tool you select in Photoshop, the settings are always going to display above here. So just come and make sure the hardness is set to 0%, and make sure clean brush is selected. Then the option that says clean the brush after each and every stroke has been selected, make sure the weight is 9%, load 75, mix at 90, flow 100%. And after doing that, make sure sample all layers is not turned on. So next thing is going to be evening out the skin tones and blending. So in order to blend, this is what you have to do. So if at all the brush is showing a plus icon, press the caps lock key on the keyboard. Then to increase or decrease on the size of the mixer brush tool, you can use the open and close brackets on the keyboard. Then also, sorry. So as you're editing, you always have to make sure that you retouch at a distance, because when you zoom all the way in and you try to edit like this, you can't see the uneven skin tone transitions in the image. So always retouch at a distance, and by doing this, you can see or identify the uneven skin tone transitions, and you can blend them better. So what I'll do, I'll simply use a relatively small brush depending on the area I want to work on, and to mix, you left click and hold down, and you drag the brush in the direction of the area you're trying to work on and blend that area. So I'll just come and blend these shadows alone. So don't drag colors from one color to another. So just make sure you mix that color and remain within the boundaries of the color you're trying to work on. And as you can see, right in the middle of the face, we have a bright spot, which is the highlight. So come and mix the highlight alone, just like that, to blend it better. And where the highlight is transitioning from the highlight to the midtones, reduce on the size of the brush by using the bracket keys on the keyboard. And you can come and blend the transition or the boundary so that it can be nice and a smooth transition. So I'll zoom out slightly to see the unevenness. So always make sure you retouch at a distance. So I'll just come and blend just like that, and blend. Come to this area on the cheek. So you can see I'll just come and blend to remove that kind of eye bag. So if at all you make a mistake, always press Ctrl Z, or you can use Command Z to undo a given area. So I'll just come and blend just like that and get rid of that kind of eye bag, just like that. So I'll blend, you can see, blend that area, and also come and blend this other area or this side. So take the strokes depending on how an area is moving. So when it comes to the cheek area, I'll use a small brush and blend that area, and also blend these kind of magenta areas. But I'm following the way a given area is shaped, or the direction of a given area. So I'll mix just like that, reduce on the size, and mix these areas on the chin. Come to the chin itself and blend the highlights and mix the midtones on that, and continue working on the skin. So on the nose, I'll use a small brush to blend the shadows on the nose area just like that, and come this other side and also blend the shadows by moving the brush in the direction of the nose, which is up and down. So I'll use a small brush to blend the highlights just like that. And you can see by just doing that, you are now getting an image with better transitions within the skin, or even skin tones that are not having those unevenness. So I'm just going to blend just like that. So to see what you have worked on, turn on the texture layer, and you can see before, after for what we have done so far. So just continue working on the image. You can as well work with the texture layer turned on, but to see the effect better, turn off the textures and work with the color layer on, so that you can see the effect as you're working in real time. So I'm just going to continue painting just like that, and just continue working on the image. So after doing that, or after working on the face, remember we are doing skin retouching. So I'll just come to the lower part of the body, or even the hand, and continue blending the bright area of the hand just like that, and mix this area. You can see I'm moving the brush in a direction of how a given area is shaped, because I don't want to distort those areas or to spill colors to where they are not meant to belong. So I'm just going to mix those areas just like that, mix that, and continue mixing the transitions between those areas. Come to this other area of the hand and continue blending. So make sure you work on every area that contains skin. Remember, we are still selected on the color or low frequency layer. So I'm just going to come and blend on the neck area just like that. Blend this highlight alone just like that. Increase on the size to work on an area that has similar skin tones. Reduce on the size to work on a smaller area that has a different skin tone just like that. Mix this highlight alone. So basically, this is how you can apply and use the mixer brush tool to retouch and make your photos better. So I'm just going to continue working just like that on the image. So to see the areas you may have missed out, this is what you have to do. Just come and turn on the texture layer and you continue perfecting the areas you may have missed out, just like that. So right now we have been able to edit the image and blend the evenness or create even skin tones. So this is the before, so far, after, before, after. So after doing that, if at all you're not comfortable with the results right now, you can as well add a second technique that is going to be to refine the areas in the face. So in order to get that, with the texture layer now turned on, come and get the lasso tool and make sure the feather is 20 pixels and make sure new selection mode is turned on right here and alias is selected, then select and mask is also selected right there. So just come zoom into the image by using Ctrl plus on the keyboard, or you can use Command plus on the keyboard. And with the lasso tool selected, you can simply come and make a selection on the skin. So by left clicking and drawing, keep away from the eyebrows, just like that, and select. I think that is okay. Then come to filter and come to blur and come down to Gaussian blur. So when you come to Gaussian blur, it's going to bring up the previous radius that you had for your frequency separation. And after doing that, just come, you can either come and start dragging up the radius up to when you feel like the skin is better and looks natural for you. But for my case, what I found out is just multiply the radius that you had initially for your frequency separation by 3. So 8 by 3 is 24. So I just type in, delete 8 and type in 24. So whichever value you may have used for your frequency separation, multiply that value by 3 and type in the value and click OK. So to deselect a given area, you can press D on the keyboard to deselect, or you click out from the selection to deselect rather. So just click out from the selection and it is going to automatically deselect that area. So I'll continue coming to filter, blur and come to Gaussian blur. And if at all you feel the effect is too much, you can right click on the selection. So just come and right click on the selection and you can reduce on the opacity of the effect in a given area. So I'll continue working on the image just like that and continue perfecting the image. So basically that is how simple frequency separation is, and I hope you are understanding and following along. So I'm just going to continue working on the nose area. So when it comes to the nose area, apply it on only the shadows and don't apply it on the overall nose, because that is going to make the nose look a little bit more on the flat side. So filter, blur, come to Gaussian blur, just like that. So basically for this step, I only apply it on the face and I don't apply it on the rest of the body, because oftentimes the face has more skin texture than the rest of the body. So right now we have been able to perfect the image, and this is what we have right now: before, after, before, after. So after doing that, the next thing is going to be removing the pimples or blemishes. So just come and select the texture layer, or the layer that contains the blemishes, which is the texture layer, and come and get the clone stamp tool. Zoom into the image by using Ctrl plus on the keyboard, or you can use Command plus on the keyboard, and we are basically going to start removing the pimples or blemishes. So to remove a pimple, make sure that the size of the clone stamp tool, the mode is normal, opacity in the flat 100%, align is selected, and sample is set to current layer. So to remove a blemish, you simply hold down the option key on the keyboard, and when you hold down the option key on the keyboard, you left click on a clean area near the blemish, option key or the alternate key for Windows, and left click on a clean area near the blemish, and release the option key or the alternate key on the keyboard and left click over the pimple or blemish to replace the blemish with clean skin. And in that way you are going to be removing the pimple or blemish from the model's skin. So just take your time as you're trying to do the cleanup of these pimples and the blemishes, and it's going to make you a better and careful retoucher at the end of the process. So just take your time as you're trying to clean up or remove these pimples or skin imperfections. So I'll just take my time as I am trying to clean up the image. So just do this and you are going to be good to go. So hoping you are following along and understanding each and every step. Sorry about that. Hope you are following along and understanding each and every step that we are doing on this very image. So I'm just going to remove all these skin imperfections, and I think we are almost good to go. So right now we are done removing the pimples or blemishes, and basically this is the before after. So after doing this, the next thing is going to be saving the image so it doesn't change in color when you post it on social media. So simply come right here to file and come to export and come to export as. So when you come to export as, it's going to open up the export as window, and after doing that, just come and make sure the format is set to JPEG, quality all the way to the maximum, that is 7, and make sure the sample is set by cubic sharper. Just come make sure the format is by cubic sharper, and just come and make sure you have embedded color profile. So make sure these two options are checked right there. And after doing that, embed color profile and convert to sRGB, simply click on export, and it's going to open up this window. Simply locate where you want to save the image, and you can be able to save your image in that location. So this is how you can easily edit and understand frequency separation from the start to the very end. And if at all you have enjoyed this, simply like this video, and don't forget to subscribe if at all you are watching and you're not subscribed to this channel. Ronnix from ronnixphotography. Thank you for watching. I see you need more videos on this channel, and don't forget to keep practicing and also keep creating.